everyone. Bob Mehsikomer here, and welcome to the show. We're going everywhere tonight. We're going bass fishing down in the southeast. We're going up to Canada and see some good friends of ours. We're going to be talking to a lady that did an extraordinarily good job on the water this past weekend. So we're going to have a lot of fun, no doubt about it. Before we roll into the show, though, there's something I want to bring to you folks' attention, if I might. Bear with me for just a second. There's an organization out there that does an awful lot of good for the fish that a lot of our listeners and followers enjoy to fish, and that's muskies. So, folks, take a look and look at Muskies Incorporated. We salute Muskies Inc. on today's show. You can get a hold of Muskies Inc. at 888-710-8286. That's 888-718286. And trust me when I say that's a great organization, and they'll serve your needs well. All right, on the phone with me here in just a second is a very, very good friend of mine. He has been active in making our life, if you will, really a pleasure to be on the water, he and his wife. I've got Steve Hockett on the line with me right now. Steve and Gail, they're the owners and proprietors of Witch Bay Camp on Lake of the Woods. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Very good, sir.
Oh,
good to hear from you.
It is so good to hear from you. All right, let's get right into it. The Canadian border is still in question, am I correct?
Yes. It's possibly may open on the 21st of May, but now the governments are. We'll find out for sure.
What is it? What do you think it looks like?
Well, I think things are going to open up. A lot. We're watching what's happening in the states as some of the different states start to open up a little bit, as far as getting out of the house and traveling around. So we don't have much as far as the virus in our area. It's been extremely low. And so I'm just more concerned of if the government's going to have some kind of testing they want to do at the border. I don't know if that's even possible. So we're all kind of waiting to see what they're going to do with it, because we're still kind of on hold for doing so many things yet. It's pretty tough to make a lot of plans. I think it's going to be opened up. My customer base, we've had very few cancellations, and even the ones that had to cancel are, rebooking for the fall, assuming that everyone's assuming things will be under control a lot better by, from say mid-June on, anyways. So we all have our fingers crossed on that, and we're looking for a pretty good, I would say July, August, September. But again, like I say, it's that unknowing what's in the future is the hard part. I know for 2021 things will be fine because I'm sure there'll be the vaccines out there and the different things like that. But for this year, we're trying to prepare for people to come up and get things going and be ready if they can. But again, it's like I said, we're just kind of waiting like everybody else. None of us seem to have the exact answer for anything.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. If the folks get a chance to cross that border reasonably early, do you suspect that you're going to have maybe your feeding time staggered a little bit and things of that nature to accommodate the need?
Yeah. I want to see what restrictions they put on, and then we'll eat in two different shifts if needed. And we got such a good clientele base. I know there's a lot of them would have no problem with that. Say coming in an extra 30 to 45 minutes later, we could stagger them. It just depends the size of the crowd. And we also got some people we could, set up out on our liars nest also. The screen porch overlooking the lake and that too.
You know as well as I do, you're going to have people pushing Gail to be the first ones in the breakfast table so they can be the first ones out the door.
Oh yeah. That's going to be a definite thing. Well, we just might have to have the cooks and people start a little bit early this year. And we could offset it that way too, but we're fortunate we got such a good repeat base that I know if we have certain ones that, if they mind coming in a half hour later or whatever the case may be, I don't think it'll be a problem at all. We'll just have to bend with it as we go, each day. And if, like I said, depending how busy we are. And I got a new cook this year that used to work for the Ministry of Health and stuff and retired from there. And so he knows all the ins and outs and what, how to do things right. So we should be sitting pretty good. We'll make it work no matter what we do. I know a lot of our guests will be very cooperative to make it good, work out fine too.
Well, it's been a while since I've been up there. Obviously, working in the marketing industry down here in the United States, I have really not been traveling like I did for 35, 37 years. So bring us up to speed on some of the things that have changed at Witch Bay Camp.
Oh, well, since you've been here, we've rebuilt probably about 5 different cabins. We used to have, as you know, most all our building cabins had like an old fishing camp. We had the washrooms and showers just outside behind the cabins. I mean, they were modern and so forth, but of course that doesn't meet today's needs and wants. And now we've pretty much got probably about 85% of everything, made modernized now. So you have your own private bathrooms and showers, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's nice.
We're in the process of rebuilding a new unit right now. In fact, we'll have ready for sometime in June this year. And the business has grown really, really well this last few years, especially since the economy's picked up.
Right.
So things are definitely going good that way. The fisheries seem to be very strong. We're doing real well with that. Actually, most everything is pluses. And then around the camp, too, the things as far as the old camp road that's known by a lot of our guests because of the old mining road taking you back in 7 miles. It's in pretty good shape now. Never, of course, going to be a paved highway, but we got in pretty good shape now. I think most of my guests have been coming every year would attest to that, too.
Yeah,
and things are going the right direction.
And, that ride in.
The guests seem to be happy. We look forward to them all the time. It's kind of like a reunion every week with the majority of all the customers that we have.
I know that ride in for us on every trip was kind of like that. Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there. And Gail had these fancy little signs out on the side of the road going in. Right, you're only 7 years away.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Especially for those first time coming in too, it seems like an eternity to get back in there.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's right now it shouldn't take you more than say 20 to 30 minutes to come back in. If you're pulling a boat, well, even without pulling a boat, it's about 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes or so, depending if you got a big boat with you and stuff.
Exactly.
But you definitely don't have to worry about damaging anything. You just take your time going in, and everything's fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
we haven't had any mishaps or anything like that for many, many years. Not since probably the 70s and early 80s. But,
so the seasons
have come a long ways since my earlier days at camp. So 45 of them for me now, so it's been a long time.
So the seasons themselves, when do they open, Steve? When do the lake? When can you start fishing the smallmouth and the walleyes and so on and so forth? What are your seasons?
Well, the walleye season will be the 3rd Saturday of May here. Will be the opener, and then walleye, so too, you can, smallmouth, you can fish for them during the month of June and that, but you can't keep them.
Right, catch and release only.
Catch and release up until the 1st of July.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the muskies is always the 3rd Saturday of June every year. And,
that's a remarkable muskie fishery up there. You know as well as I do, I've caught a couple of big ones up there. My 100th over 50 came not too far from your dock, and a Goliath fish that we caught at the last day of a 4-day shoot with the guest on the show. I think you guys actually named the reef after me, so it was kind of a neat little spot. And there's a big girl that lives there. I mean, she's a really good fish. You got great muskie fishing right out your door. Not to mention the walleyes. Jesus, I remember when Dick took us out and we were bottom bouncing on big walleyes out in the humps. Are they still doing that?
Yeah. We got more in the bay now too, because now the last number of years now, we get a lot of jumbo perch that I never used to see back in the 70s and 80s and that.
Uh-huh.
And they're nowadays than they used to be.
Oh, really?
You know, the shoulders are just look healthier. And I'd say the numbers have gone up. You know, the pike are improving all the time. We're getting more mid-30-inch fish. You know, occasionally some in the low to mid-40s in the northern, but nobody keeps them. But we don't get, you know, that's a fish we don't get high numbers of. But everything else, the numbers have increased pretty good.
I do know what you're talking about. Hey, listen, Steve, it's been my pleasure to have you on the show. It's nice to catch up with you. It's nice to hear what's going on. It's good to hear that potentially we're going to have a season after all going into Canada. That's a good thing. And I know that you and Gail will take care of your customers literally at the top of the service scale. There's just no doubt about it. And one of these days, I'm going to drag my fiberglass up there, and we're going to go chase a couple of fish again. What do you say?
Yeah, we'd love to have you up there. It's been a while.
All right. Yeah, all right. It has been too long. Do me a big favor, if you would. Say hi to Gail for me. Say hi to the staff for me. They're great people. We're going to let you go. Again, we appreciate you being on the show. We'll touch base with you more into the season after things open up, and maybe we start to hear some fish stories from there. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Steve, my pleasure.
Be looking forward to it.
All righty, young man. Have a good one.
And thanks for having me.
You bet. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Yeah, I keep fearing one of these days I'm going to dial the wrong number. I just hope it doesn't happen tonight.
Well, hello.
Have I got Lorie?
Yes, you do.
How are you doing, young lady?
I'm doing very well, actually.
Wow.
It was an awesome weekend, I'll tell you.
Oh, girl, I'm telling you right now, you had the weekend of all.
Oh, it was. For a change, it was phenomenal weather. I mean, we couldn't have asked for better weather.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it was definitely one of our better openers for a long time. So,
folks, we've got a young lady on with us right now that our acquaintances came together via Facebook, and I like to read through the posts when people send them to me. It's always fun to see people catch fish and catch big fish. And Lorie posted a very interesting post, an incredibly interesting post. And she held up her fish, which was fascinating and beautiful and all that. But one thing she had in that collection of pictures was a barometer. And we have preached for decades the value of a barometer. So, Lorie, first of all, let's start up by you telling us how your day went, how you got on these fish, how you made it happen. And then I want to go into that barometer a little bit. Sound good?
Sounds good. Pretty much, my husband and I basically got up at about 3:30 in the morning, Saturday morning. And, of course, the launch was half full of musky, crazed people, and so basically we started fishing in the dark, and about 4:30 in the morning, and pretty much we were fishing shallow. We didn't know what we were going to be in for. Our water temps were between 50 to 57, depending on where you were on Pewaukee Lake. You're familiar with Pewaukee.
Oh, yeah.
And, we just needed to try and find some warm water and some weeds, and pretty much, just scouting. I mean, we saw the most fish on opening day between the both of us. I stopped counting at 10, and we guessed at probably well over 12 fish that we had seen and raised, and swiping at baits, and etc. And so we just, started from the west end and worked our way all the way down to the east end, and that's where we actually found the warmest water. And it was a little bit more murkier down there because of the winds that we had had.
Yeah.
And I said, let's just go try around in this one little spot that we wanted to try, and always either raise a fish there or catch a fish. And cast it. I was using a Phantom Softail actually, and one of my favorite lures in the spring is you can just do so much with that bait. You can work it fast, you can work it slow, and with the colder water that we had, I was working a little slower, twitch, pause, casted it out. It was a kind of sandbar and probably about 3 feet of water, and I saw that fish come up and hit it, and it was the 39, and so it's like, okay, now we're on some fish. This is pretty cool, and we break that ice, and then we pretty much stayed out until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we had a very full day that day, and went back out on Sunday. We got out there about 5 o'clock in the morning, and not 15 casts in, and now this one was on the west end, and it was right before sunrise, and we still had, it was still twilighty, but we didn't have our headlamps or anything on, no sunglasses yet. And the water is getting very clear down there, and we were fishing over the weed growth that was coming up, and just twitching that Phantom, and all of a sudden, my husband's casting in, and I'll technically cast out. We're throwing the same lure, one cast in, one cast out, and I just did that twitch pause about less than about 7-8 feet from the boat, and it just came up, T-boned it, and I was like, okay, and that was like, I didn't even finish my coffee that day. I'm like, good Lord. And so, like, okay, I hope I just didn't jinx us for the rest of the day. And well, yeah, I did. So we saw, I think, 4 fish after that, and we're like, okay, it's kind of dying off a little bit. We were all over, and the wind was just horrendous on both days. But yesterday, it really just picked up. I'm like, okay, we're just done with this wind. But yeah, it was a phenomenal weekend. That's kind of like unheard of. Usually we're in our snow pants and long underwear for opening weekend, but it was pretty spectacular. So
yeah, it sounds like a hoot. You guys got on them. You had a lot of fun with them, and you dealt with the conditions. Let's touch on that barometric pressure just for a little bit.
I just had it in the boat, and I looked at it. I was like, look at that, it's looking great. I'm like, what the heck? So I kind of had to take a chuckle and take a picture of it, because it was like, actually I have it in the house right now. It's pretty high. It's still in the great, going towards good, but it's on, it's definitely a good tool to have in the boat. I don't rely 100% on it, but it's just a good tool to have.
Yeah, barometric pressure plays a huge part. Like I said when we were emailing back and forth on the internet, in the spring, the fish have a tendency not to oblige what they do in the summertime, midsummer peak, because of the barometric pressures. It's because their bodies are seeking the warmth, and that's more valuable to them than what's going on with their bladders at that point. So consequently, you guys read it right, the bright sunny conditions, and you can see by your pictures that you had bright sunny conditions.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that gave you guys the perfect opportunity to go out and campaign these fish in that higher barometer. Now, with that being said, as the season progresses, things are going to change for you a little bit. This is the educational curve that you might want to be a little bit weary of. As the season changes and these fish start settling into their summer patterns, that higher barometer that you had because of that high pressure system on you, because of the sun, because of all the warming elements that you really needed, and that's what brought you your fish. Let's be honest about it. It got you that warmer water condition and got you an opportunity to be in the presence of active fish. But as that water starts to get up 75, 77 degrees, and let's hope not much above that, but as it does that, these fish are going to have a tendency to fall down in the column to get out of that bright light. And also that bright light that comes in the summertime is going to have a relatively high barometer, and that affects the air bladder in the fish. And so consequently, they go deeper to satisfy that discomfort that comes from that barometric pressure. That's why you see muskie fishermen succeed so well on low light days or when frontal systems are coming in. It all has to do with the bladder in that fish and the barometric pressure.
It's kind of like having a belly ache. They want to get comfortable. I'm like a human barometer too. I get affected with a real difference of the barometric swing. If there's a really big swing, I'm getting a severe headache, or it's like something's going on, and I look on my phone, I've got a barometer in my weather app. It's like, okay, yeah, we just lost like 5% or whatever. It's like, okay, that's why, if you're feeling barometer, your joints start aching or whatever, it's the same concept as the fish.
Yeah. Yeah, we have physiological effects. Headache is one of them, and things of that nature. But the fish has a tendency to want to go deeper in that high sky to alleviate it. They don't have the Advil in the medicine cabinet like we do. Right. They can't go home and get a Coors Light either. So.
Exactly. So, I know. It's so, and then also with the moon phases too. And with this spring, now we kind of know where some of the bigger fish that we raised. We raised some really nice mid 40-inch fish. But, they're not going to be there the whole summer.
No.
Like you said, they're going to move out, they move in, they move out, they wane, they wax with the panfish, coming in to spawn. And then they're going to be back out, moving out off those break lines, that 12 to 15 or whatever that may be, depending on, how warm it gets too. So, but yeah, we rely a lot on the moon phases too during the summer. When do we have a moon phase? Is it moon underfoot, moon overhead? I love moon underfoot, which is the moon is like directly below you.
Yeah.
Or moon set, moon rise. We never really relied a lot on that until we've read a couple articles with Joe Bucher, for number one, with his moon phases, and just really, I told her, well, how's it, you have people asking you, well, what does the moon have to do with it? I said, well, the moon makes your waves in the ocean. You have high tide, you have low tide.
Correct.
What causes that? The moon does.
Correct.
And they're like, oh, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. When you're trying to explain it to a layman in layman's terms, then they get it. And I said, you're driving around or wherever, and you see deer or whatever in a field grazing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I go home or I look on my phone and look at my app and go, oh, we have a moon phase in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you see the emergency rooms full of crazy people too. Exactly. But you have moons in perigee and apogee. You have full moons, new moons. All of these things they relatively affect some of the physiology of the fish. The fish has a forest compound called magtite in its system. And we have it too, humans do too, but we've learned to override it, where things in nature don't. They abide by it. That's why your deer move at certain times and your animals move. And the fact is, if you're out fishing and you see a cycle that starts to come, you can see it in nature. You can hear the birds. You can see activity. And if you're observant enough, you can see all that happen. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness.
It's about just keeping your eyes open and observing. We deer hunt a lot, quite a bit. And being out in the woods and watching nature, you just absorb it. You may not see a deer or whatever. You're just absorbing what's going on.
Exactly.
And you have to incorporate that in your whole entire life aspect to, it just is. It's there. It's not going to go away. It's always been there. You just have to incorporate it into, your fishing, your hunting, utilize that information that's out there.
Yep. You're right. You and your husband are going to have a great season. You guys are dialed in. You're listening to what's going on.
Yep.
If you don't mind at all, I want to say thanks for coming on the show tonight. It's been my pleasure. My pleasure to email and to talk to you and share your pictures and your successes. I hope that you'll send us some more. And
absolutely.
Maybe after the season, clamps down a little bit and we start to see different patterns and things, maybe we'll touch base again and dwell on those a little bit if you don't mind. How's that sound?
Yes, absolutely, definitely, because you're going to have different seasons during the season, so to speak.
Yes, you are. There's going to be a lot. Plus your lure choices will change, your speed, everything will change. There'll be a lot of things changing going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah,
Hey,
I mean we're going, from the small baits up to the bucktails, up to the bulldogs, and then and so forth. So
absolutely. Listen, thanks for coming on the show again. I
thank you.
appreciate it. You struck a nerve when I saw that barometer. I love people that look at the science of what's going on. It is the way to go.
Welcome. Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Okay.
See you later.
Take care.
You bet.
Right,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Folks, Grim Reaper, these folks came on board with us, and we're happy to tell you that they're here with us. These are great lures, spinnerbaits. If you want a thin wire spinnerbait that pounds, then you want the Grim Reaper. Hi everyone, Bob Mehsikomer here for GRANDT Rods. Muskie fishing's a tough deal, and the job's not done till she's in the bag. Well, how do you do that? It's pretty simple. You need big dog rods from GRANDT Rods. For your next rod, call them at 847-577-0848. Building custom rods since 1983. Let's see. He's up and down hills in that Kentucky region over there. The phone has to take time to ring, I guess. Let's see if we can get him.
It's Jim.
Hey, Jim, it's Bob Mehsikomer over at 5 at 5 Live. So you were on the water or what?
I am on the water fishing a tournament right now. It's an evening tournament.
Well, you and I chatted briefly, and you're fishing a tournament in Kentucky. So I'm not going to give away the lake you're fishing in Kentucky. So we're going to focus.
Bob, we're hooked up. Hang on.
He's hooked up, folks. We have a guest on the show, folks, that's fishing a tournament. He's hooked up on a bass right now. He doesn't need my help. I can hear stuff moving around in the boat.
Short.
Did you get it? Short, huh?
Yes. Didn't make it. My buddy just hooked up.
All righty, let's go back to where we started. Jim called me, or we're talking. He's fishing a tournament in Kentucky, and we didn't want to talk about the exact lake he was doing, so we decided to talk about a lake that he's not going to be on. And I tried to find a lake that basically met the needs, and I chose Cherokee Lake over in Tennessee. It has kind of the same layout that Jim was talking about. It's not going to be an absolute science in terms of answering Jim's questions, but it is going to give us some insight. Jim, does that work for you?
No, absolutely. So basically, if you're following the Cherokee, Bob, you're looking at a pretty big system right there. So the downside of it is basically rock islands, clusters, rocky area, and then when you get up towards the river, on the upper side, it's got a lot of grass in it, of course, rock and island clusters too. So the question being is, I've got 1 day to practice. Okay, now I could shoot up north and go for largemouth, or I can shoot down south and get 30 to 50, and then run back up north and try to get a kicker. A
good friend of mine, Pete Davids, and I traveled all the way down to Martin Lake, Alabama, to fish a big Hydrosport Super Tournament, and a big boat, 400 boat field tournament, big deal. We get down there and we did our pre-fishing, and we were pretty comfortable. We came off the water. We had, for two guys from Minnesota that came out of the snow belt down there to catch some fish. I fished bass tournaments a lot in the 70s and the very, very early 80s. But the truth of the matter is we left there because of the off-limits rule, and we went on down to another lake south of there and pleasure fished for 2 days. And we came back to the tournament, and they had drawn the lake down nearly 14 feet, the TVA did. The locals knew that the dam was going to be worked on in addition to the draw that they normally take. So you can expect some changes if they do that. Let's look, for instance,
a lot.
Yeah, big changes. Let's look, for instance.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Bob. Yeah, that winter pool on that is 50 foot below summer, so you could see the drastic change between winter and summer pool. The thing about running up north where the largemouth are is we've got a moon phase coming up here shortly. The downside is we've been pretty consistent on temps and air temps
in the mid to upper 70s, but starting tomorrow we're in the 50s to low 60s. So anything that was moving up could push back.
Oh, absolutely.
You see what I'm? Yeah.
The bottom end of the lake is where the dam is. So that's going to be your deep
Right.
water, your smallmouth down there.
Exactly.
Probably using the rock and the verticals. Those fish spawn before the largemouth do. If your approach is trying to get to 15 in the boat and they'll go pull a kicker, it is a philosophy that works from time to time. But if you've got big largemouth north that are either pre-spawn or coming in, I mean, just like a day or two away from bedding, oh man, my gut puts me on the north end of the lake. My gut puts me up in the thin stuff. Here's another reason, just so you know. The smallmouth are so here today, gone tomorrow. They're the most undependable species you could possibly catch. The second you think you have smallmouth dialed in, they just absolutely destroy you. So that type of thing happens.
The good thing about the island clusters on the southern part of the dam is those are resident fish. They pull up, they spawn, and then during the summer they'll pull up and down because there's some pretty vertical breaks on it, and there's some really good deep structure. So once you get around in clusters, they're there year round, but you're not going to get a tournament one there. Not at this time of year. About 3-4 weeks ago, I would say yes. Right now, no. My concern is one day of practice ain't going to do me. I mean, it'll do me good, but it ain't going to do me what I need to do.
Well, again, I have no practical knowledge of what the water temps are going to be that morning. But if it were the night and the day before, okay, and this water temps were holding steady pre-spawn temps, not post, but pre-spawn temps. In other words, those big females are still in the neighborhood. My focus is going to skinny water. That's just the way I am. Now, if you get in there and you get blasted with a cold front, and those big fish get pushed out and pushed down, I'm going down to the smallmouth, get my 15 like you say, and then I'm going to come up and I'm going to peck the points. I'm going to peck the fast verticals coming in, not too far from those shallow, skinny water areas that I'm talking about, but I'm going to peck those points. I'm going to look for those fish that are they want to come in the worst way, but they just can't do it with the elements being what they are. So that's my game plan. That's what I would do. The problem is with the 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes up, 30 minutes. Where's the ease-off site?
Kind of just a little bit on the north side, so it's more towards the largemouth.
Oh, well, then that kind of makes that decision a little easier because, quite frankly, if your dam fish didn't work out, your smallmouth didn't work out, and the conditions were such that it pushed you to go that direction, then you could certainly make that run, and you're going to be home base. So if you get on a bite, the largemouth bite's going to come later in the day anyway. It's not going to be that early morning bite. They're simply going to wait for a little bit better conditions in terms of temp. If it's cold, if it's not cold, then those largemouth are going to be my target. If you got that warm water and those big fish are sitting there, you got a chance at a couple of 6s, 7s, maybe. I don't know what does it take to win on the lake you're fishing. How many pounds does it take to?
20 to 22, 17, 18 will get you checked.
Well, then your 15 and a 6 kicker would put you in the money if you can count on it.
I mean, there's that front coming in that's supposed to last 2-3 days. Again, we've got that moon phase coming up also. But those smallmouth will deal with that frontal system a lot better than the largemouth, especially down here.
Whether you're fishing the smallmouth, the largemouth, you're looking to maximize your efficiency in a very short window of time. This is what people don't realize with tournaments is that 8 hours goes by incredibly fast. So looking at some of the lures that you're going to be pulling, the small lip crankbaits, because you're going to be up tight to the shallows for the most part. Square lip crankbaits give a little bit more radical movement going through the water. You're going to worm fish any number of worm fish, Cincos, Texas rigs. You're going to wear jig and worm combinations. Swim baits. Look at what we can do with swim baits, with skirted jigs and swim tails on them and what have you. I mean, there's just a lot we can do. You can get up in the timber and get up towards some of. Have you got weeds in that system? Is there grass in there at all?
On the north side with a largemouth.
On the north side where large, so you can get in there and start throwing like the bitsy bugs and the little craws and things. Here's something too. I would have, well, I don't know. What's the water clarity?
The farther up you are towards the river, obviously it's a lot dirtier than down by the dam. It'll be a lot more cleaner.
Okay, so you're really not sight fishing on the largemouth stuff.
No, and even if they draw the water back up, if they say they started spawning in 3 foot of water and then they put it up 7, you're at 10, you're not going to see anything anyway.
Yeah, that would hinder everything. But lipless crankbaits and surface walking baits, if those fish are up in there and they're wanting to chew just before they go up on the beds, and let's face it, you could have 5-pound males. You got them down there. So it's not always the female when we talk about big in those conditions. So. Chuggers, walking baits. I don't know that I'd be pulling buzz baits much. I don't know if the speed is a little bit too much for those fish. That's a decision you have to make based on the surface conditions. But you need to go in with an arsenal of lures, I guess, is the whole point, because you don't have time. You got 1 day of pre-fish?
Yeah, 1 day.
Well, my gut feeling tells me if you're confident with the smallies on the bottom end, then go practice on the largemouth. That's what my gut feeling tells me.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. Go down there, hopefully get, put 5 in a box, and then do that fairly quick, and then run up north and spend the day and try to get 1 or 2 kickers.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. No matter what it is, no matter how the outcome is, either you did it right or you did it wrong. You can always blame it on something. So
I'm going to blame it on
You're going to blame it on who?
Blame it all on you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Enjoy that Kentucky weather down there, because it's a lot different than we have up here. We're going to float this weekend ourselves. So I wish you the best. Let us know how you do down there. It was a pleasure having you on with us, and maybe we can get you on. Hey, tell you what, send us a picture of you and that trophy, and then I'll share the winnings with you. How's that sound?
Don't forget, it goes both ways now.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Half my extra if I don't. I appreciate your input.
It was worthless. I mean, tournament fishing is always a quest for what did I do wrong.
Well, you know what? And the other good thing about me heading on the north side is I don't, like I said before, I don't know it that well. It gives me a chance to learn, and that's the key to it. Is every time you get out there, learn something.
Are you a draw partner or buddy partner?
No, it's a team. It's a Tennessee team trail.
Okay, cool. Well, good. Well, you have a lot of fun, and let us know how you do. I'm going to let you go and get back to catching one from the tournament you're in.
The one I've been sitting on. I don't think my partner hasn't caught on yet, so we're all right.
I don't think I choose that partner for the tournament next one. All righty, thanks. We'll see.
Time, Bob, really do.
All right, we'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hey, folks, like I've said 100 times, man, if you're going to the water, whether it be largemouth, smallmouth, it doesn't matter. Muskies, it doesn't matter. The Cuda rod, the Piata rod for the bass, spinning, bait casting, or if you slide over to that muskie fish like we do, of course, we're going with the big dog rod. And that's very important to us. So on our way out of here tonight, I want to say thanks to these folks again. Grim Reaper came on to help us put the show on the air this year. You guys go check them out. Go on their website. Take a look at their spinner baits. You will not be disappointed. I'm going to plan on catching a few fish myself. And of course, Bob Mehsikomer here. Hey, I got a question. What's the hottest thing in your boat during prime muskie conditions? If you're like me, it's GRANDT Big Dog Rods. Talk to the big dog himself. Call him at 847-577-0848. See, I didn't walk all over his commercial this time. Hey, God bless everybody. Remember, salute Muskies Inc. while you're out there. I put the number up for you, 888-710-8286. That's 888-710-8286. Get a hold of Muskies Inc. And we'll be talking. We might have a new sponsor coming on with us next week. It'd be interesting, be kind of fun to tell you about it if it all happens. We want to thank Steve and Gail up at Witch Bay Camp. You guys with your Canadian vacations in plan, just stay tight with your resort facility right now. They'll keep you up to speed on what's going on in terms of the border crossing. I hope that our friend down there in Kentucky fishing that tournament, I hope I didn't mess up his brain too bad. I hope he has some fun and catches some fish. And I tell you, the lady we had on, Lorie, is going to be catching some super big fish this year. That's a guarantee. From everybody here at 5 at 5 Live, folks, I want to say thanks. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And I want to say, remember, when you go online, just send us an email, bob.m@fishingstickstv.com, and let's get you on the show with your question. Have some fun, banter some stuff around, and see if we can make it all work. If you like what you saw today, share it with your friends. Share it on your page. We're trying to grow this product, and like I said, we're going to be back on the water. We start shooting tomorrow, or excuse me, we'll start shooting this weekend, and we're quite frankly looking forward to it. That being said, God bless everybody. We'll see you next week for more 5 at 5 Live.